It is great to see that the price action in the market is behaving just like what we discussed in the last days. Dollar broke to the downside, it's looking fine. That's giving more room for the crypto market to perform. So Bitcoin right here, right now shows that you had one particular trend which was active in the market, which was showing you a bull flag on the macro. But right now, inside that pattern, you kind of have a micro move. So that's another channel. So the price has been moving within this particular channel here. Are we going to break this? Fine. If we do, how high should you go? That's one question. Because the moment you zoom a little bit out, you get the idea clear. Last time also we had something like this where we broke to the downside, which was almost similar. Then you continued to the upside. So are we going to repeat the exact same system of price action here? Because if it does, then for assets like XRP and others, which is kind of following this similar pattern, similar structure, I would argue, yeah, they may also do something similar. If this breaks to the upside, it's actually positive because the measured move of XRP at that point is going to be another 40% on the micro move. That's positive. Now, if you look at Ether, you're watching the price is bouncing back, and there is a catch in it, right? The way the price is bouncing off, it's great. Now, taking back things onto the XRP side, the XRP Bitcoin broke to the upside, now it's coming back down to retest. If we manage to bounce off from here, that's great. Now, why am I saying that? Because I think the historical dominance here kind of plays out. What the Bitcoin terms show for XRP on a macro chart, just as we discussed last time, is at that support, and it is showing you that XRP dominance is also at that point and it's trying to bounce off. That long wick to the downside usually is one of the biggest indicator because on a monthly you had a ton of selling side, but it did not end up in a huge red candle. That's bullish. So the market is showing you something which is fabulous. And if you're watching the current affairs, if you're observing what's happening, when whales are scooping things up, normally what happens is the retailers are feared. They're in the panic mode. So if you do understand what you're watching in front of you, now you have an advantage in the market. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to become the next top 10 percentage. See, in yesterday's video, we were actually talking about huge pot of money entering, right? The reversal signals, and we've been talking about similar things in last few days. This chart has been there. I posted it to you guys and explained it to you guys, saying, okay, it may come down. We did break to the downside. Now what's happening here is this. We came down. Now we are bouncing back up. This is something similar or 99% similar to what I've shared with the SI family. So the SI family got the advantage of it. Now, if you go back to the Bitcoin chart, which we discussed before, this kind of is now showing you something very much similar and positive. Now, say you take all of that and come into the crypto market right now, watching we are getting close to the $2.5 trillion. $2.5 trillion is not a small mark. You're watching some of these assets are trying to bounce back up. Now, say it's USD terms. Okay, let's put it into the Bitcoin. And you still see some of them are doing very good. Especially some of them on the weekly side are still performing well enough. So now when you come back into the market, looking at the dollar, yes, you need to zoom a little bit out to see where the hell we are. So we are still in this range. We broke to the downside. A retest and a rejection would be perfect. So on crypto, you just broke back to the upside. If we do get a retest here, which we didn't get, especially at the first range, because I was personally expecting, okay, this is the resistance, you go back, retest and bounce. We didn't get that, or the market didn't need new buying power to push through. That's good. Now, if we do break this to the upside, that means the market is showing you it can actually go up like 13%. But the measured move here comes at 11. So I'm like, whoa. If we can do that, I'm optimistic. Because at that point, you're breaking these two. So one, this short-term channel is broken. Two, the medium, that's broken. Now your macro direction comes in to the same picture. That's great. Last time you did something like this, the total movement from the bottom till the top was like 90%. That's not small. If you actually plot that to the upside, you're saying that's 100,000. But then the question becomes, okay, how much did we actually do last time before that? Because that is now logical to reach back to that point, and it's like 103, then it was 90. So maybe that's not gonna be 90. It's most likely gonna be 70 or just below that. So that's like $95,000 Bitcoin. So from the current price, that's another 50% to the upside. That is not a small movement in Bitcoin. Say you take that equation back to the daily chart, you remove all of this, you're looking at the trend side of this. You're looking at the RSI, because the RSI showed us the negative divergence. We were so focused on this. Now here we are, it's breaking that trend to the upside. Let's stay focused here, let's stay consistent. So when we do plot that, kind of close to that resistance, following it through to the bottom, we see we broke to the upside. That's good. Historically speaking, when you do such moves in the market, it ends up as a positive vibration in the market. If you're looking at all of this, you understand it clearly. Now, say you're looking at XRP. Yes, we talked about the short-term scenario. So we would like to go on to medium to long-term. That's what we're observing here on a 3-day chart, weekly chart, you name it. Right now on the XRP side, something which we are all watching clearly is this. We would like to see this come back up, because last time when we had something similar, it was here. I'm like, whoa, there is some similarity in this, If we are going to do something similar there, I'm happy. I mean, at least on the most conservative side of things, if it's going to do a 10x at this position, okay, that's a relief. Because at that time, this asset is joining a lot of other assets, which is performing well enough. So you're saying it's going to be above that all-time highs in the price discovery. And that's where things go nuts. Because you just go onto the monthly, you look at this and ask yourself, if we had to do that, are we at that overbought position? No. We have a lot of room to the upside. That's positive. And if you do look at the monthly here, you're like, okay, fine. We got a huge buying volume, which didn't push the price up. Now this new month, yes, it's just started, is again bouncing off from the moving average. That's a monthly. It's not a small deal. Now, say you go back to XRP Bitcoin, you understand the same, you zoom in, you understand the direction, which is what we should be focusing. Because if there is a breakout and it is moving up and the dominance is going to go back up, that means you're going to see a lot of the historical moves repeating here. I'm not saying 100x or a 50x here. I'm literally talking about conservative points, which means you're going to come back up and this is going to be that resistance. So if you go back, last time when we made that high, we were in the same range. That's 2021 highs, $2, right? Remember, there is hundreds, if not thousands of new coins entering the market. So the dominance being able to go back up to that range itself is at least the all-time highs. And that was what the price showed us at 10x, which is the most conservative stuff we are looking at for the first burst. Whether we do that $4 at a time when everything else is through the roof, that's concern. But if others are still showing you it's still going up, the momentum is to the upside, fine. You will see this asset riding higher. So that's one of the reasons why we bring you back into this, the altcoin market, yes, excluding Ether, because we are discussing Ether separately. And you get the picture, big picture narrative actually. So we discussed about this possibility. Now that we are there, now that we are trying to break through this trend line, that matters a lot. This trend line, I would say that shows you last time, being honest, last time this happened, the price moved up. How much did it move up and how long did it take? That's important because time is an important factor for human emotions. So last time it took 51 days for the market to do 70%. So now the question becomes, okay, the last move was 70% to the upside. So the total move up in the last run here was what? That was a 72. This was a 74. So if we are going to do somewhat similar move, then the price here is going to be at what? Near the all-time highs. So a lot of the large cap altcoins should be performing well enough for this to happen, including XRP, including XLM, Cardano, you name it. All of them are showing you that, which is a positive story. Now, when you do look at the macro, when you do understand where we are going, yes, that's somewhat similar. But here we are using very, very conservative movements. We're not actually plotting all these three just like it is, right? We're taking things a little bit lightly, focusing a little bit on the price action on the conservative side so that we don't misunderstand what the market is doing. Because right now, we still want to know if there is a trap there. But as of now, it doesn't seem like that. The major part of that trap, in my opinion, was this. Because that trend line has been followed all the way from last October, and most of them would have anticipated it to bounce off from there. Even I kept 15-20% odds for that, but we were on this point, 75 to 80% odds for this move, which worked out well because, we took out some dry powder here before the major drop and we reallocated them back here, which was, I'm happy, not the exact absolute bottom because I waited for a confirmation of the reversal, which is important with me. At least in my side of things. Now we re-entered into those assets. When we are back into this trend line, when we are back about this trend line, that now shows a lot of things. What do you mean, right? What do you mean? The easiest part here to look at, in my opinion, is that you go on a 3-day chart, whichever direction you want to choose. But remember one thing, when you get a fake out in one direction, inside a trend which has been followed for some time, usually you end up going much higher to the opposite direction. So you got to fake out into this direction where you were watching the price going down. So once that becomes a fake out, what end up happening in the market is a big leg to the upside. That's not small. That's a huge deal here in the market. If you follow through, last time what happened, you had somewhat something playing out like this. A small fake out, you went up. Another fake out, you went up. So the momentum started increasing from that point onwards. Now we come back. You're looking at all this and you have to ask the question to yourself, do you see that the price is holding the moving average on a weekly? And each time it comes to the downside, someone for some reason is buying things up in this range. Look at the opposite. Each time there was selling pressure there, the price slowed down, came back down, and then went up. So what should happen here? Boom, right? It makes a lot of sense. You look at this, you had a lot of these wicks. What ended up happening is the price went back up until it started making the wicks on the upside. So you come back down and you look at the history and you see there's a lot of these wicks before the price moved up. So if that's a history, why would we go against it? Because the opportunity is what we are looking for. And the moment you actually recognize the fact that this is not a dying asset. People are interested in this. People are buying into this. They are moving things. The fundamental side of this is getting stronger each and every day. Just the price action is looking boring. And that's where you know something is going to happen. Now, if you believe the entire market is going down, then the question becomes, who the hell is buying like this, right? There is new buying power entering. Maybe it's just a whale in terms of a billionaire. But what if it's a nation, right? It can be an emerging market nation. It can be a developed nation. Say some of these countries doesn't even have gold, say Canada. What if they are buying Bitcoin? Because the amount you need to put in there is comparatively much lower than Bitcoin. You don't need that lower than gold, because the ROI expectation in gold is going to be much lower. And if they haven't participated in gold for a long period of time, why would they start now? Because they don't have money to do that. So most likely they're going to go into Bitcoin with lower amount of capital. And something like this actually got my attention. I was like, whoa, you're talking about Bitcoin being a payment mechanism. The store of value is gone, huh? Whatever it is, you see this. For payments, you have assets which have been completely designed for payments. If you have ever tried moving Bitcoin to Bitcoin and compare the same amount of money moved in XRP, in XLM, in XDC, you will notice something. It's way cheaper than Bitcoin. It's way faster than Bitcoin. So for a normal, common human being, why would you pay more money each and every time? That's stupid. Now, anyway, as the store of value narrative, because the price is going up and someone is buying crazy here, and in last 24 hours, this is, that's not a small thing here. When you do observe what people are doing, you're watching this. Whoa, that's a huge, huge movement. So the price came down, fear, panic, retailers getting kicked out. On the other end, whales are buying more and more and more. So they're actually pushing things higher, right? So the original post, I think, is coming from here. So the IT Tech highlights this, blah, blah, blah. That's all the politics of it. But you do see the idea of it. And I want you to understand that. Because once you understand the direction, you're not going to participate in the choppiness of the market with your whole portfolio. You shouldn't be doing that. Maybe you take some portion of it, you re-enter once you have a confirmation that you're going to go up. That's all good. Now, is the confirmation here? If you're a pattern guy and you're looking at this, no, you need a breakout here, a retest and a bounce. That's what you're looking for. Now, say you're a short-term guy, not that macro. You're looking for this to break higher. All of these would give you certain odds for your trades in the market. So if you're looking at this, the total market kind of gives you an idea here. You want to take it as clear as possible. So I'm using a line chart, and yeah, that does show that you are above it. That does show you are above the moving average, and that's important because the time you actually push it into the Heikin-Ashi, you get to see something. How many of you actually remember this? When we were here, go back to YouTube. That doesn't lie, right? Maybe 22nd, maybe 23rd, say 22nd to 25th. We discussed about this, asking, are we going to break higher? And I said, maybe not, because we may have to come back down and break. And I explained it because I saw something similar on the 3-day chart. You came up here, got rejected, then went back up. So now we are doing that. If that end up happening here, that gives you 100% certainty. Maybe I'm wrong. 90% certainty for your direction, because the market is 100% uncertain and you're trying to find the best odds on your side. Use this for your advantage. Historically speaking, if you are a trader, you see this green candle breaking through and closing above the moving average. That gives you a lot of trades. Maybe it's a small run, maybe it's a big run. It's based on your luck. But if you're entering the same on a 3-day breakout, whoa, that's a good ride. Whoa, that's a good ride, right? So that is coming. So that confirmation, if you're a macro spot weekly rider, spot rider, you want that to happen. But if you don't care about a lot of volatility here, this is where you enter for that double bottom. When you get that breakout, that's the certainty which you want in this market. So guys, if you watched all of this and you got a lot of value, smash that like button for me. And if you want these kind of things before that happens, the breakout, the bounce, be in the SI family. That's where all of these are being posted on a regular basis so that you don't miss, understand what the market is doing, so that you don't fall into that trap of thinking, okay, this is going to be bounce off from the support. If you understood that the range is going to be down, it would have benefited you much, much more. So guys, if you want to join the SI family, use the link in the description below, in YouTube or in the bio of Twitter. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.